Got the hoodie on for this one. Dark. Just like my mood. A bit darker. My navy blue hoodie. I absolutely love this. I love this item of clothing. I think it's about 3 years old now, but I haven't worn it since, I don't know, March perhaps, since whenever winter properly ended. But Storm Amy is arriving tomorrow or later today. We're watching this on Friday. Storm Amy is arriving later today, and it's going to be here until midnight Saturday. So between now and Sunday, it's going to be very, very tempestuous. Things are going to be flying through the air. It's going to be a bit dangerous. It's going to be a bit tasty. It's going to be a bit miserable and a bit fraught until Sunday, at least. And it is the winter, isn't it? It's usually, I like the winter time. It's a storm arriving. The clocks haven't gone back yet, but it's getting darker and darker every night. The weather's getting worse and worse. And most of all, you're now watching Europa League games in the dark. They're kicking off. The 8 o'clock kickoff is in the darkness, and that's when you want the light of the Europa League. It's like a wee fire, that the orange bunting on the black. It's like the flame coming out of a wee fire that your grands used to get in the 70s when you were a kid. You got your grands and still had the coal fire. Then it was black and the orange flames coming out. It makes you feel cosy, the hygge, the Danes call it. And they started, that thing they started trying to do in Scotland was it? We just like the Scandinavians. Curry in, have a wee curry in. That's just ruined both hygge, making me think what the Danes are actually saying is as clattily twee is what you're saying. It's also ruined the whole idea of feeling a bit cosy in the house. But it's no the same this year, is it? It's still it's a bit colder and things aren't quite as kind of warm and cosy as they usually are heading into the long, comforting sustenance through the winter months that has been the Europa League group stage. And I don't know what it is with hoodies. It used to be remember there's a kind of Daily Mail, Daily Telegraph, kind of scaremongering, a real concern amongst the middle classes about the hoodies that were hanging about the shops. And even then, when was this, 10, 15, 20 years ago, the folk, the kids wearing the hoodies, they're not really middle class. Seriously, middle class. Wayne's, the most you would get kind of dug up for by them outside the shops was like a split infinitive or something like that. It's really, it didn't make sense. And yet, I'm far too old. I was in my 30s then, or my 40s probably, when the hoodies was a big kind of scary thing in the right wing tabloids. But it's not like I never wore a hoodie when I was that age. I never wore a hoodie when I was a youth, as far as I can remember. It wasn't a thing when I was a kid. I knew I watched all these podcasts. I watched the Rangers Review the other day. 3 of them were wearing hoodies. They're all like 40s. Well, some of them are in their 40s, other ones in their 50s. That kind of same kind of age group as me. If I'm being really generous to myself, I'm proper mid 50s. Let's just say that. So I'm not really a hoodie wearer as a kid. It's only this a kind of phenomenon that it's middle-aged folk that have taken on, old guys basically, that have taken to wearing hoodies. Is the next stage for me wearing Hawaiian shirts? Make I'm a bit of a character. I might be totally grey and white because I'm on the cusp of death, but look, I've got a colourful shirt on. That makes me a colourful personality. Oh God forbid! It's quite concerning. But it used to be when I was a kid, the proper criminals, the proper bad guys, they wore suits, just like Robert De Niro's Neil Macaulay in the 1995 LA crime saga Heat, written and directed by Michael Mann. And I want to talk about the precious metal depository scene in that. I felt was really pertinent tonight when you've got Neil Macaulay as him and his crew have hacked into the alarm system at this precious metals depository. They're in there in the middle of the night in the darkness, and they've got the specialised drill equipment in there to get through once they're inside the kind of building, they've broken into that, and then they're getting through the specialised drill. As Val Kilmer, as Chris Rahirlis, he's drilling through the kind of security door, like a big massive safe door, to get into these precious metals that are going to make them an absolute fortune. But unbeknownst to them, outside across the roads, you just think it's a big yard of a builder's or a truck hire company. It's a van hire, truck hire company. There's all these empty vans. Well, one of them isn't empty. It's full of robbery homicide division. Vincent Hanna, played by Al Pacino, of course, and they're watching them. They've got all this equipment, the cameras, secret cameras everywhere, and they're watching them. They're watching Neil McCauley. They've cut into his crew, and they're trying to catch them in the act, and they've got all these tactical policemen, like a SWAT team around as well. They're total jocks. They're all psyched up like wee wains with their toy guns, only their real guns, and they're hiding in bins and stuff, just ready to pounce. But they need to get the go-ahead because Vincent Hanna, he's got tactical superior. He's got tactical rank in that operation. And what happens is one of the police who's ready to go, he's saying, "Oh, can we go? We're going to go." He's like, "No, calm down. Just settle down. They haven't actually stolen anything yet." So the guy's a bit pissed off. So he sits down in the back of this metal truck with a big gun in his back, and it just makes a clanking noise against the kind of metal door. And Neil McCauley's like that. He's been outside while Chris is doing the drilling. He's outside just making sure everything's okay, and he just hears this noise from across the road. And he can't quite explain what it is. I mean, it could be anything. It could be about the wind, or it could be a bird or something, but it's just, no, this doesn't sound right. And this is based on a real-life incident that actually took place in a department store when the real-life Neil McCauley in 1964, and the guy, Chuck Adamson, who, it was a friend of Michael Mann, the director and the writer, and he was a real-life cop, later became a writer, and advised Michael Mann a lot of his films and TV stuff, and starred in a wee starring role, a wee cameo role in the film Thief, directed by Michael Mann. But he had been the guy. He was a guy he was a real life Vincent Hanna, if you like. He shot the real life Neil McCauley at the real life robbery, shot and killed him in 1964 after a robbery. This is what the whole film Heat is based on. And he said that it was so professional, the real life Neil McCauley, that once it was him and his crew were breaking into a department store, and Chuck Adamson's police had hacked into them. They knew what they were up to. They were watching them, and they were in the department store waiting for them, in a stakeout. And they broke in, but before they'd stolen anything, one of the policemen who'd been sitting there for hours, in his position, was busting for the loo. So he gets up to go to the loo. He sneaks away to have a pee, and he just makes a wee noise as he's moving. And that's what Chuck Adamson was saying. In these kind of stakeouts, if you go to pee, you just pee yourself where you stand. You don't make any noise. And the real life Neil McCauley heard this. That's it. The gig's off. That's it. We're out of here. Let's get out of here. Let's split. Take no chance. He's super professional. And Neil McCauley, played by Robert De Niro in the film, he's the same thing exactly. And he gets straight back in, and he says to Chris Rahirlis, played by Val Kilmer, "That's it." And he slaps him in the back. "Stop the drilling. We're away. We're out of here." And the drill they've bought is probably hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of equipment, or dollars, US dollars worth of equipment. But no, just leave it where we start. Let's just bolt, get out of here as soon as possible. So the tactical crew, they're like, right, they're moving, they're leaving. The tactical police, the SWAT team, they're like, right, let's go. And Al Pacino's like, no, they haven't stolen anything. They haven't actually stolen anything. They haven't properly broken in yet to get what they want. They'll get done for breaking and entering. They'll do 6 months at the most, and he wants to get them put away. For he knows they've murdered security guards in the first crime they commit at the beginning of the film. He knows they've murdered people and they've stolen millions and stuff like that. He wants to properly put these guys away for decades, and this isn't any use to him. He said, no, just let them go. And the police, what? You're letting them go? That's the whole thing. You're letting them go. The police, it's like Chris is saying, well, this drill's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. You just want to leave it here. We're practically through this security door. We've almost got our hands in these jewels. The minute you touch the jewels, says, is what Neil McCauley's communicating to him. It only takes a look, and he gets it. The minute you pick up the jewels, we walk outside into the police with the stuff in our hands. That's us literally caught red-handed, as long as the jewels are red. And we go straight to jail for decades, but we're done. Let's just go in the new. And I feel as if in the police are all, the tactical team, why can't we just go and shoot? The guys have committed a crime, they're breaking and entering. We know they're bad guys, but you need to get them properly. You need to get them properly. Let them go. And it's difficult for both sides, they're both suffering. And you've got the police are going, but why have you not bought a striker? We're supposed to beat Kairat Almaty and get ourselves. No, I'm getting mixed up. It's the protagonists, the two protagonists, they're both suffering. The two of them are suffering equally, and it's the mirroring effect. The whole thing about Heat is, Brian Glanville in the book Behind Me, Champions of Europe, you'll never say that. Well, we haven't said it so far, but we might at one point. It's always changing. It's always changing, the setup in European football. But in that book, he makes a wee aside about protagonist, use of the word protagonist. He says people keep talking about how there's several protagonists, or the main, but this is the protagonist means the main person, the main character. There can only be one protagonist. There can only be one main character. Or there are no the main characters. That's not the situation in Heat at all, is it? You've got two protagonists. And the things are different sides of the same coin. But they've actually got a bit of respect for each other because they're the only people who truly understand each other. And the two of them are suffering. The two of them that night have to suffer a bad result together, even though they're on opposite sides. You know, they're trying to outdo each other all the time. They're trying to outsmart each other, trying to catch each other. But they both suffer a bad result, and both their crews, both their teams are unhappy. You know, both the people all around them that work with them are unhappy. But it's a case of, is it worth it? You know, do we understand it? Do we know why it had to be done? Was it, if in the long run, is it for the best of falling out with Nico Raskin when he's your best player, but he's no playing to the tactical system? Or we have dropped, but your system's supposed to be just a 6. Raskin's more of an 8. He bombs forward. We can start at 6. Rothwell's no a 6 either, even though he wears number 6. He plays 8. But we're just going to, you know, needs must. We have to put out the best team just now. Are you abandoning your own tactical philosophy, or are you showing more character by saying, okay, this is how we can win this game, or even this is how we can avoid getting absolutely hammered in this game. This is how we maybe get a draw out of this game. It's just sacrifices that you make. It's all about the long run, all about the long term. Both sides of the divide really unhappy tonight, so I don't have to do my kind of my usual. It might not sound like it so far. I don't have to do my usual meandering, where I try to put off the ambulance chasers at the start of one of my post-match reaction pods after a bad Rangers result, because the ambulance chasers, they were already in the hospital. They were already in the ambulance when I sat down to watch the Rangers game. And by the time I'd watched the Rangers game and we had to go into the ambulance, when we got to the hospital, they were already in the beds. They'd already taken all the beds. The bastards beat us again. They were in the hospital first. You know, and then Aberdeen fans, they're all joining us as well in the hospital. There's no ambulance. Nobody's can chase the ambulances the night, so I can just be completely honest in my area. There's no nefarious tactics from me tonight. Also did a 1 3/4 hour, 105 minutes preview pod, 105 minute long preview pod, which didn't get posted until less than 4 hours before the game. All sorts of reasons, which, believe it or not, I'm not going to bore you with. I'm boring you enough already with my actual podcast. So if you want to, know all about my views on the scenes at or the sounds at Livingston on Sunday when we scored that winner, if you want to know my views on Kevin Thelwell's son becoming the head of recruitment, on Austrian football, on Sigmund Freud, on the dangers of not properly researching when your MOT is due. All the details in that, it's all in that podcast today. It's all very detailed, very informative, highly entertaining. It features some beautiful singing, you know, as usual. So I would advise you to check that out if you want a proper long form, because this just needs to be. This is a short one. Your ears will be bleeding, folks. You deserve a break from a long part. So no need for distracting tactics, obfuscating tactics on tonight's podcast. We can just get straight into it, hammer into it. The deeper analysis can wait. It's an initial kind of short form, purely instructive, kind of knee-jerk even reaction pods. That's all. That's just a reaction. 20 minutes max. It's going to be. So that gives us 7 minutes to get through all the details of the game and what I thought about them. This is your Stat-Ick immediate post. Rangers are 5th bottom of 2 different leagues now, with the SPFL Premiership and the UEFA Europa League. What is Kevin Thelwell's auntie doing this weekend? If you just tell her to get herself to, and she just make her own way to the Enchira Hotel, get there, just outside Grangemouth. If you just get there about sometime on Saturday, we'll pay for her. We'll pay for her for her digs Saturday night and get her a nice evening meal and get her breakfast and maybe even lunch, or kind of early brunch on Sunday, and just let her know that we'll come and pick her up in the bus. She'll get a team bus. Will come and pick her up on the way to the game, and she can take the first team. She'll recognise. She'll know that. But a lot of buses at Enchira, a lot of trips, kind of hen do's and all that, and end up at Enchira. But she'll know it's our bus because she'll recognise the driver, because it's her brother. You know, he's getting a job as the driver now as well. Reaction pod coming to you in association with Jersnet. Check out Jersnet tonight. It'll be Friday night, 9 p.m. A Jersnet preview pod, which I think is probably mostly going to be focusing on events at in Graz tonight, and Vincent Graz on Thursday night. It's going to be Craig, it's going to be Brian, and they'll also be talking about the game at Falkirk, the trip to Falkirk for Rangers on Sunday. That's 9 p.m. live on the Jersnet YouTube channel. I'm sponsored by that, and I'm also sponsored by Axes with rubber grip handles. You really got to get an axe with a rubber, even you just got a wee single, a wee tiny axe, just for a one hand thing, just to kind of, if you get one of them, you really need to get one with a rubber grip handle, a handle you can hold on, some sort of grip on it, not just the ones that is a plain wood that's slightly varnished, nicely finished. The wood looks lovely, when you're a metal kind of axe head on it as well. If you've got, like, there's a storm coming up and you've got a tree out your back door, for example, there's a tree out your back door, just get a tiny wee back door, but the back of it goes down the hill. There's a wee back garden bit, it goes down the hill, and it's just, you kind of abandon it. It's behind a hedge, you don't really care about it, but your neighbours who are down the hill or the back for you, and that tree is dead. It doesn't really leaf properly. It looks lovely. The wee birds come and sit on it all the time. It looks lovely for your kitchen window, but for your neighbours down below you, down the wee hill behind you, well, eventually I had to see there's bits come flying off it all the time. There's twigs breaking off it because it's kind of dead. Anytime there's any kind of wind and it ends up, they've got a lovely garden. My garden's embarrassing compared to theirs. It's pristine, and it like mine, it's not that big, so it could cause some damage because they've got a conservatory. So I could end up hitting the glass there. They've got a lovely kind of shed as well. I don't want it hitting that, so I went down and I took off, and I'm falling about there, trying to get all the branches off, all the dead branches off this tree, and slipping up and down that wee hill at the back. It wasn't a pretty sight, but over the past couple of years, I've managed to take away. It's not even that I'm too stingy to pay to get guys, the lopologists guys to come out, arboreologists, the pollanders to come out and take the branches off and sit pipe. I just want to do it myself. I feel as if it's ready to fall down anyway. So I might as well get there and do it myself bit by bit. But there was one bit that could come off, and like an 80 mile an hour wind, which is we're being promised. Tomorrow that could come off, so I'm going to get down there. And I went down the other day and was fanning about, and the neighbour woman, she comes out and she's like, "Oh no, you're fine, that's great, you've done a great job, don't worry about that," And I thought, see, because she's so nice, I'm just going to do it anyway. So I've got my wee axe. Had my wee axe that I'd bought for B&Q, and I had the gardening gloves on as well, because a lot of nettles and that was pulling out. I was doing a bit of kind of gardening, and so I just thought, I'm going to do that, just do it a sheer niceness. So I'm just hacking away, and I was taking big chunks out of it. I thought, this is going to go a bit slow, but I'm just going to, a lot of them just grab a hold of, and would chuck like a cable around it and pull them down and snap them when they come to. But I'm going to get this for the boat. I'm going to chunk. I was doing really well, and because I had the gloves on, the wet gloves, it just kind of. At one point, I missed, or I was on the swoop down, on the swing down to hit the branch thing, and the thing just there's no grip, it just flew right out of my hand, and it went into sort of the kind of bushes and that doing that. Cause it's a bit of the garden, you don't really pay much attention to kind of nettles and the weeds and things. But I was just laughing. I thought, where is it? I don't know where it's going. And the one thing, it's made me cut down a lot of the weeds to try and find it. It's just completely disappeared. It's probably wedged in somebody's head somewhere. I don't know. But it's I just can't find that axe anymore. So I married an axe murderer, so I married somebody who is absolutely murder with an axe. Did you cut down that tree? I cannot tell a lie. I lack the basic ability to cut down a tree because I'm absolutely useless with an axe. You have an axe to grind, Alec? No, I did have one. But I lost it. It slipped out my hands. I have no idea how to hold on to an axe. I can't. That's why I couldn't get into any Glasgow gangs, apart from the fact that I stayed in Ardross. No, tongs, you bash, just like axe. They're actual, that's hair tongs you've got, Alec. And they're not plugged in and you're bald. So I'm sponsored by axes with proper match. That is Sturm Graz are the only team to beat Rangers twice at their home venue. The only Austrian team ever to beat Rangers twice at their home venue. We've played Sturm Graz twice. We've played Rapid Vienna twice. Now, Rapid Vienna, the two times, so I say we've played Rapid Vienna twice, we've played them 4 times. This is the thing now with more and more single game format, single meeting. Because it used to be if you played somebody in Europe, unless it was the final, you'd automatically played them twice, home and away. Everyone was home and away, and then you get the group stages, and they were home and away as well. But then you've got this new format where the UEFA Cup group stages introduced 2005, I think, did that for a few years, and then you get the Europa League, this scenario we've got just now with the Champions League and the Conference League, as well as the Europa League, where you just play a team once at home and you play them once away. So Rapid Vienna, we played them, of course, most famously in the European Cup. Was it 64, 65? Where we basically could have won the thing 2 years before Celtic did, if not for Jim Baxter getting his legs snapped totally viciously. And they moved the game to the Prater Stadium. We beat them 1-0 at Ibrox, and then they beat us. We beat them 2-0 and put on a bit of a show. And if you put on a bit of a show, you can be sure Jim Baxter is at the centre of it. And a guy he was just completely taking the mickey out of, just lost it and deliberately broke Jim Baxter's leg. And that was him. He was out of the quarter-final against Inter, which we lost quite narrowly. 64-65. And Inter went on to win it. They won it on their home ground, beating Benfica 1-0. And Benfica were down to 10 men as well. No substitutes then. It was they had 11 men on the pitch, but Mario Calugna, I think, get injured, and they only beat them 1-0. But that's Inter would go 1-0 up and then just totally defend the lead, the Catenaccio Inter of Helenio Herrera. I'm trying not to talk about this game, but that was we beat Rapid Vienna in both legs, but 64-65, and of course we got them in the Europa League, our first time back in a European group stage after our time in the lower leagues under Steven Gerrard, 2018-2019. First game at Ibrox in a group stage. What a magical night. We beat them 3-1, Rapid Vienna. What a great night that was. Under the lights at Ibrox, Europa League. And then we lost 1-0 in the away game, which meant we didn't qualify, but we took it right down to the last game of the group. We lost at the Gerard Hanape, or whatever they're calling their stadium these days, kind of rebuilt from when I went into it in my wee tour of Viennese football grounds back at the turn of the millennium. But we lost 1-0 there, but we beat them both times at home. We played Sturm Graz, of course, in the Champions League 25 years ago, beat them 5-0 at Ibrox, and we lost 2-0 over in Graz, the place we're playing tonight, the Arnold Schwarzenegger Stadium it was then, the Mercure Arena, Mercure, the sponsors now, and we played Grazer AK, the other team for Graz, the other team whose home is that, the team the club that share that stadium. We were in tonight with Sturm Graz. We played them in the Europa League group stages, the UEFA Cup group stages, when Paul Le Guen was the manager, 2006-2007, and we beat them 3-0. We beat them 3-0 at Ibrox, just totally disposed of them. So we've played 4 times. We've played Austrian teams at Ibrox. We've won every time. I think we've conceded 1 goal, and 4 times we've played Austrian teams away from home, and that's the third time. That's the third time we've lost. The second time we've scored. My name's Alec Anderson. What have I got to do to make you love me? What have I got to do to make you care? What do I do when lightning strikes me? And I wake to find that you're not there. What do I do to make you want me? What have I got to do to be heard? What do I say when it's all over? And sorry seems to be the hardest word. It's sad, so sad. It's a sad, sad situation. And it's getting more and more absurd. It's sad, so sad. Why can't we talk it over? Oh, it seems to me that sorry seems to be the hardest word. Mary J. Blige version. What I gotta do to make you want? What I gotta do? No, it's too early for that. Too early for that, son. Celtic. Check the Celtic score. But I forgot about their game altogether, to be quite honest with you, until I went to Morrison's quickly before kick-off and grabbed myself a pre-roasted, pre-rotisserieed chicken, only £3.38. It usually gets you a fiver to get a raw one that you can go and put in the oven for. And unfortunately, it was ready, you know. Just what I needed after a busy day of posting preview pods far too late. And it was empty. It was totally empty. And I said, it's because Celtic are playing right now and Rangers are playing in about half an hour's time. The place is absolutely deserted. Anniesland Morrison's. So I thought I better check the Celtic score just before kick-off, so they get beat 2-0. Well, that's just absolutely fine. That's fine. So if we draw this game, we go above them. You know, they beat 2-0, so we draw. We only beat 1-0 last week. If we draw, we get the point, and we'll beat them in goal difference. And that's always the main aim in my small life. The starting 11. Chermiti, the only change from Sunday was Chermiti was starting up front instead of Bojan Majowski. And the manager was asked, Russell Martin was asked before the game, why have you, what's that change all about? He said, well, Chermiti did really well last Thursday against Genk. He didn't. He just didn't. Oh, he had that chance against Hibs when he was on. Again, he played right through against Hibs when we were 2-0 up. It was in the second half, and he went through on goal and he missed it. That's the kind of always really done for us. Big Yusuf Chermiti. So I thought, is it because of the pitch? Is it because the pitch there was kind of dodgy? It was very patchy. They're going to get the pitch relayed apparently. Sturm Graz were hearing before the game that it was a really wobbly pitch. You just got to start going long to miss out the bumpy grass. But no, that was. I mean, Majowski played against Sturm Graz last season. It was in Klagenfurt because we're hosting Champions League games in the bigger stadium in Klagenfurt. But it was this team he was playing against. He's got a bit of experience of playing against them. Majowski was playing for Girona in the Champions League against Sturm Graz. But no, he's on the bench. And I wasn't too happy with that, I've got to admit. But turned out Big Chermiti did really well. It was a big tifo before the game. Is the whole stadium as Rangers come down the tunnel out onto the pitch. Whole stadium, it's only holds about 18,000. Never impressive, nevertheless. It's all kind of one tier size, but it's completely enclosed, and they're all holding up. It's mostly black because they're known as the Blacks. That's their nickname. You know, it's only in German. The Schwarz. I'm not actually sure what it is, but they play it all black. That's their home kit. And they had this all black except for right around the kind of middle of the stadium was silver, green and silver. A hoop. I'm thinking, are they totally, you know, like the Hamburg fans having a go when they played Celtic, put the big Union Jack tifo up in the Hamburg end, the highest Val end at the Volkspark Stadion when they played Celtic in Europe that time. Was this team having it it's turned it into one big kind of mini Celtic hoop? It's a bit green and white is the colours of the city of Graz. It's the flag of the city of Graz. It's green and white. And then they had a big tifo behind the goal in the home end, which was big Uran. Is it Sergio Uran who scored one of the 2 goals against us? There was a picture of him celebrating one of the 2 goals against us when they beat us 2-0 in the Champions League. It's in that very stadium back 25 years ago, and it was, come on boys, let's do it again. And they did a big massive tifo of the scoreboard with our crest up there. It's a really compliment. It's obviously meant a massive amount to the people of Sturm that they'd beaten us 2-0 in that game back there. It's part of their kind of history. I mean, the ground's only about 30 years old. The ground had only been built about 5 years before they played us the first time. It's quite nice to know that you're part of the kind of communal history of another club beating us with such a big deal to them. I don't actually mean that bitterly. I'm glad it beating us was such a big deal to you. I don't mean that. I actually genuinely mean that in the nicest possible way. It was quite a kind of compliment. Then I saw at Sturm have got the number 77 playing for them, the same as Genk last Thursday. This guy's called Malone as well, so you're immediately thinking in Dublin's fair city where the girls are so pretty. That's a bad sign. Stankovic, there's a Stankovic playing for them as well, the same as Club Brugge did. So these are bad omens. Stankovic is a Slovenian. He looks like Václav Černý. There's a guy out wide right. I think it's the right wing back or the right back. He looked a bit like Scott McTominay, and we've made him look as good as Scott McTominay in that first half. And the wee fella Horvat, he looks like the kind of co-lead singer of the Scissor Sisters, and they were cutting through us like scissors. He was, especially 1 goal and 1 assist in that horror first half tonight. We're about 3 minutes into the game, and Antman kind of played it up the right to Raskin, and he kind of fires it into Chermiti. He hits Chermiti in the 6-yard box. He's trying to get a shot on the big man, but it's kind of snuffed out. There's the centre half right on top of him. And that was, after that, we'd go into their half once in the first kind of 6 minutes or so, and they hadn't really done enough to make me worry about them. This might actually end up being, we'll get a point, but it'll be the most boring 0-0 anybody's ever seen. And so the 7th minute, they go 1-0 up. It's an absolute horror show from ourselves. We've got a shy kind of 20 yards from the goal line, deep in our own half. Tav goes to take it. He throws it up to Chermiti, who's I don't know, about 10 yards away, so he's not even anywhere near the halfway line, and they get in on top of it. They get in on top. They just dispossess Chermiti quite easily. The ball doesn't even get to him. I don't know if that's poorer from Tav or poorer from Chermiti, but the guy who dispossesses Chermiti in the same movement, he just knocks the ball straight into our box, and there's nobody there. There's nobody there because, and a fair play to Ali McCoist, slagged as Rangers manager, not good enough technically, but at least he explained some fitness stuff to me that I probably wouldn't have noticed. But a lot of people going about tomorrow going, what was John Souttar doing? What was John Souttar doing? And that, but who wouldn't have known that John Souttar was in the wrong unless it was actual pundits there to point out. It's not often you get proper football and football knowledge benefit from the punters, from the pundits to the punters, and live television coverage these days. It's usually all about kind of how angry can you get, how can you wind up opposition supporters with your part. This was just proper analysis. Alex, how John Souttar has come back, and he was practically on the touchline directly behind Tav, so that he was giving Tav the option of throwing the ball back to him, and he could play it. When Tav doesn't do that, John Souttar should be racing back into his box for cover, so it's the hole that he's left by not getting back into his box quick enough to cover that this fella just runs in Mullowen in Dublin's Fair City, where the girls are so pretty. He just doesn't even hit the byline. He pulls it back to Horvat, who just kind of steps inside. He kind of takes it to the side. He's basically just putting the back-tracking Rangers defenders on their arse. Oh, well, metaphorically anyway, and he strikes the ball from right on the penalty spot. Kind of reverse, hits the ball, kind of reverse shot against the momentum. Jack Butland, because he's got 2 or 3 backtracking Rangers defenders in front of him, he's totally unsighted, and he's actually just a fraction of a second too late, Jack Butland, when he sees the ball. It's already hit off his thigh and bounced under his arm and skewed. Could have gone anywhere really, but it goes into the net because it's Rangers season. Into the net it goes, not Jack Butland's fault, and then that's us. It's 22 straight away games without a clean sheet. This is something that Rory Hamilton was telling us we haven't managed to achieve since 1897. It's the worst run of Rangers being unable to keep a clean sheet away from home since 1897. Well, we won the league with a 100% record in 1898-99, so this is a fantastic start. And Livingston on Sunday, they just beat them with a last minute winner. The first time Steven Gerrard went to Livingston, he got beat. And even the season 155, 2 seasons later, 155 under Steven Gerrard. The first time we went to Livingston that season, we drew 0-0. So, and the second time we went to Livingston 3 times that season in the league during 55. The second time we only scored the winner. Was it 5 minutes from the end? So it's. Russell Martin's not done any worse than Steven Gerrard at Livingston. The third time we went in that season, we won 3-0, but we'd already won the league. And everybody was relaxing. It was party time. So it's good. They're negatives in the face of things if you want to paint it that way, but really great signs. And we won a corner within a minute of conceding that goal. We've won a corner, despite how depressed you were feeling. We did actually win that corner. And Cornelius, he wins it, but it's kind of snuffed out. Defender right in Tapium there, and Cornelius winning corners is becoming a theme for us this season. Jack Butland made a save down to his near post after they kind of cut us open in the right hand side. I think about a quarter of an hour in, Chermiti hits the bar with a header from Gasma, beats a few guys down the left hand side, puts the ball up to the back post, and Big Chermiti goes in there and heads it, comes back off the bar. It's inches for Asgard scoring the rebound, but you don't feel like that. You don't feel, Rangers are right back in this game. It just felt, we're getting beat 1-0. It was a pitiful goal that we lost. We're going to get destroyed here. Everyone's going against us. You weren't actually noticing that we were doing quite well in terms of possession, in terms of chances, chance creation. It was just the execution that was horrific. That and the defending. I think it was about the 17th minute. Very cruel cameraman, director. He's caught Russell Martin on the touchline with the Rangers support in the corner of the stadium. About 700-800 Rangers fans there tonight. Quite a small stadium, quite a small away support, but very colourful, very noticeable. Particularly the fellow who's got the massive Russell Martin banner, the banner of Russell Martin's face with a red cross through it, and it was just the placement, the formality of that image was horrible. And I don't know if Russell Martin actually saw it up on the screen. It was just right behind as you looked at it. The angles from the touchline, looking up at Russell Martin with this thing. It's obviously behind him in the stand, but it's placed just to the left of him as you're looking at it. It was brutal. It was a brutal moment the director, the outside broadcast director, and I don't know if Russell Martin actually looked up and they had it on their big screen because he kind of darted away at that point as if he was going back to talk to one of his, maybe he's just going to talk to somebody on the bench, one of his assistants or whatever. But it was a horrible little moment, that. But we also, I mean, Chermiti was about a half hour or something like that. Chermiti had a shot. He got a shot away, but the keeper managed to save it. He couldn't get enough purchase in the shot because Ant-Man, who I think he had the option of going to Asgard on the inside, Ant-Man, he pushed the ball too kind of far wide, but he still managed to get the shot in. The big fella, and this is, I think the 20th minute also, Chermiti had a wee shot where Gassam beats a couple of guys in the box. He's driving into the box and beating guys down that left-hand side, and he takes a wee stumble. One of them catches him, but he keeps going. Whereas if he'd hit the deck, he'd probably won a penalty. But he cuts the ball, he fires the ball into Chermiti, who has to, is the ball's kind of behind him, so he almost does a kind of back flick, like a back heel type scenario, but he gets the ball and it's the near post, near keeper, who's probably their best player by the end of the game. I think it's Christensen. He makes a great save down to his near post. So we're in the game. You know, but around the 33rd minute, they started kind of showboating on the right-hand side, showing somebody the ball and pulling it back, and I think, oh, that's fine, because you don't actually realise Sturm Graz, that we're creating quite a few chances here, and if you start getting slack, if you start thinking you can give us a bit of a doing, then that's absolutely fine. That suits me. It's 2-0, they're 2-0 up. This goal, the second goal, the 35 minutes that Sturm Graz made it 2-0, it sums up both, Russell Martin's philosophy, or one of the characteristics of his philosophy, and also why Rangers fans hate it. It seems to be he's all about how we can attack, what we can do when we have the ball, but he's got nothing planned for when we don't have the ball. More of that later, right, in his post-match interview. But it was a really soft free kick. Chermiti kind of, the gust from his arms as he walked past the guy, just inside our half, way out on our left wing, just literally just inside the halfway line. So you're waiting for him to float a free kick into the box, but I think it's the fact our defensive line is so high and so straight that they can't resist it. And they've probably been, I think the manager's researched us, a bit of basic research, watched a few of our games, and everybody will know about the high line that Russell Martin likes to play. And it's honestly, it's like the line of scrimmage, the gridiron in the NFL. We're on white, they're on black, and they've got the little Georgian fella, I can't remember his name, something Ishvili. I would do the same if it's somebody Scottish, Mac something, I'm not, it's not very respectful there, but the fella didn't need any more respect from me. Rangers gave him far too much respect tonight, but he's running around across the line of scrimmage like a tight end, just ready to, and he just bends his run slightly, and nobody goes. Connor Barron's trying to chase him like a linebacker on the wrong team, the wrong side of things, and he just can't catch him. It just basically, the fella, it's like a play action fake. The fella it's Horvat again, the guy who scored the first goal. He's making it. He's going to take the free kick, float it to the back post area. We're expecting something aerial. And he gives it the old, right, who's going to, kind of hands up to who wants this floated onto their head because I'm hitting this high. And he just hits it low and straight, basically, right? He slightly bends his run, the Georgian chap, and he's in on goal. And he just clips it through. Jack Butland, who is absolutely beeling, and that is 2-0. And you're thinking, is this going to go really badly? Is this going to be another Bruges? We're more in the game than we ever were at Bruges already by that point, but that's not saying a lot. It's not much of a compliment. Tav gets a long throw around about the 38th minute. Cornelius kind of heads it straight at, I think we'd won a corner at that point in time. Cornelius, I think Tav's going down and he gets tackled. He's trying to have a kind of shot or put a cross in from outside just outside their box on the right hand side, and their defender kind of gets on top of him and it just kind of squiffs the ball. So it's neither cross nor shot, but it comes down. I think their goalkeeper has to touch it over the bar, and it's a corner to us. That gets fired straight back to Tav. He lets it go out for a long throw, and the long throw, it's John Suter gets the flick on, and Cornelius, I think the goalkeeper's just right on top of him, and he can't get the purchase on it. And the guys, but Cornelius is inside the 6-yard box, and the keeper's right in front of him. Kind of thing. if we can develop this thing with Suter and Cornelius, it's a real weapon. It really is dangerous for the opposition. For a change, just sometimes they're defending what they're doing at the back is a bit dangerous for us, but that's not just down to them. We're in all white, and we're playing the All Blacks, and you're a bit worried, to mix my sporting metaphors, that there might be a bit of a rugby score. But the 40th minute, Tav's taking another free kick. I love him. I love Tav, but Jesus Christ, I think to vary it a bit. We're buying a lot of players who have got skills. They're not getting to demonstrate them often, but surely some of them are good when there's nobody around them, when they get like, at least 10 yards of space to take a free kick. Maybe even a shy every now and then, maybe a corner. It's just vary it. Tav is the best set piece taker we have at the club, but it gets a bit much when he's taking absolutely everything. It can be healthy. But he takes his feet and it ends up with Raskin's chasing back, and he has to kind of shoot at Jack Butland because he's cutting out a ball that's going to go across our box. They're kind of hitting us in the break. But 2 seconds later, they want a foul for the pass back because Butland's got to kind of catch it. But they're wanting next thing you know, you've got Raskin's in at the edge of the opposition box, and he has a shot that goes over the bar. But it's a nice bit of build-up play from Rangers. So we're only completely out the game. We did have our moments, but just there was no execution, and the defending was just obliterating any chance of positivity in our judgment of this team. Patchy momentum again. We've started abysmally in most games that we've played under Russell Martin. We started abysmally in most games for the last at least 2 seasons, I would say. Tav's still there. Raskin's a hangover from that. I don't know who's John Suter, perhaps. It's something that's been going for years anyway. But made a terrible start to both halves on Sunday, even though we won the game at Livingston. And having built up the momentum towards the end of the first half, where we looked like we'd score 2 or 3, it was more stark that we came out in the second half and just didn't get going at all. But Russell Martin, and what's becoming increasingly apparent, that he likes to bum himself up. He likes to give himself positive reviews, is saying that he mentioned this a few weeks ago, that sometimes we start second half really well because it's like a chance to tell the players what they're supposed to be doing again, remind them what they're supposed to be doing, to calm down, to take a breath, and that kind of thing. But I think that was by way of explaining, and I want more of these explanations, to be fair to Russell Martin, so I take back what I was just saying there. I want to know that the players are why they're not playing as, normally, as competently as they should be. And Russell Martin was basically using it as an explanation of the fact they're taking on so much instruction just now. They've been given so many new instructions from him and his staff. There's a whole new way of playing football, apparently. So it's only natural that they'll be struggling at times to cope. But tonight was, whatever happened, tonight was definitely, whatever the reasons for it, or whatever you think about it, we know what the reasons were for it tonight. We're getting beat 2-0, and just wants to make sure we throw everything at it. It was another one of those moments. We started the second half really well, but we didn't stop. We had a fantastic second half. It wasn't good enough because our first half was so abysmal. But Magoma and Chermiti, Magoma goes off, and Antman goes off for Majowski. The two of them are coming on at the start of the second half. You're thinking, what is going on here? I don't know if Magoma's been punished. Our young left back, he's maybe most culpable for the second goal, the free kick goal that Graz had scored. So he seemed like an angry man at the end of the game. Russell Martin, perhaps young Magoma, got the brunt of that, but he was off anyway. And Max Aarons was coming on, and as I say, Oliver Antman, who had moments and all that, definitely tactically looks like he knows what's happening. Looks like he knows what the template is, what the blueprint is, what's been asked of him, but he's not always just at it. But Bojan Majowski come on, but not for Chermiti. Chermiti stays on the park, so we've got 2 strikers on, and we seemed, at first I thought it was like a kind of 3-4-3. It's because Derek Cornelius also moved it to the left-hand side. From left centre half, he's suddenly gone up and down the left wing. At first I thought he's been an over-enthusiastic, under instruction of the manager. We're obviously going all-out attack, kitchen sink, getting thrown at it second half. It looked like Derek Cornelius was maybe just playing left centre half, John Suter in the middle, and Tav as right centre half, because he was over on the right-hand side as well as Max Aarons. We weren't putting Aaron's into left back again, but we'd heard that Derek Cornelius was a left back. Anyway, I'm pretty sure by the end of the night, I think it was basically a kind of 4-2-1-3 we were playing. And Derek Cornelius had gone to left back, and this is something we knew he had in his locker when we failed to get an experienced left back. That was getting played up by Kevin Thelwell and Russell Martin. But Cornelius can go to left back, even though he's clearly every bit the centre half. But there he was, Derek Cornelius, and he just does a great job wherever he goes. He's a proper all rounder. He's bombing up and down there, and Max Aarons is bombing up and down the right hand side, but he's got James Tavernier kind of in behind him, and John Suter is left sided centre half again. I think that's what it was. Connor Barron and Nico Raskin, the sitting two still, and Asgard playing as a 10, but up front you've now got Gassama on the left hand side, big fella Yusuf Chermiti, he's in the middle, and Bojan Majovski, another striker, but he's playing off him to the right hand side. He's playing the right hand side of this front three, and it was like in the first half, everything that we did well was going through JD Gassama. He's getting the beating of everybody. He's going to go for 20 million minimum. You know, Leo can piss off right now. He's going to go for 20 million to somebody in Ligue 1, I would imagine, being a French speaker, being a naturalised Frenchman. But everything was going to him in the first half, and it was like we decided to go with that. I think Ali McCoist was pointing out that when we got Asgard up there to kind of support him, it made it nobody could get near him. He was beating everybody. They couldn't double down on him. JD Gassama. So I think the idea was just like we're going to support him even more in the second half, and we came flying out the blocks, and within 4 minutes we'd scored. It's a really simple goal, and acres of space for both of them. Nico Raskin strolling forward from his own half, and he sends a beautiful ball, high ball, floated out to Gassama on the left hand side, who's also in acres of space, and he did much the same as he did against Panathinaikos in the away leg, because he scored home and away against Panathinaikos. He scores against Pilsen at Ibrox as well, didn't he? He was certainly fantastic against them, so he's a European specialist, which making it even more certain that he's going to get bought for big money. But he just kind of cuts in, and the whole Sturm Graz defence is in front of him. No one's coming out to tackle him. They don't know how to tackle him. They're scared of him by this point from what he's done in the first half, and now he's up to a notch in the second half. They're just basically backing off him, and he goes across them and he cuts back on himself. Against Panathinaikos in Athens, he did that from the same spot, but he hit a swerve over the outside of his foot and went away over to the right hand side. This one, he's pulling it back across the goalkeeper, and it goes into the bottom left hand corner. It's a great finish, an absolutely fantastic finish, and that's us. You're thinking that was bloody easy after all that shite in the first half. That was just so easy. And Raskin blasts it 5 yards wide from about 5 yards out. After that, he felt as if the defender was coming in behind him. As Cornelius gone to left back, Tav gone to centre half. It seems like the theoretical football is kind of going out the window. The blueprint is giving way to personality and basic personal skills football. Some players are just winners. Some players are just a bit better. I'm always against this, going back to the old days and when I was a boy, because everything's obscured. You forget the bad times and that. But we've always had players. I mean, John Brown's probably the greatest example, who could just go anywhere in the park and do you a job. You know, and it's that. I know Cornelius has played left back, but he's got that thing where he looks dangerous up front. He's doing a job in midfield when it's needed, and he's up and down that left wing like a proper left back tonight as well. Tav, I think he's playing 3 different positions every game for Rangers now. This is the Tav that we hate. Remember that again? This is one of the things that I feel helps me support Russell Martin intuitively. The more there's a hysteria against somebody, the more I'm thinking this is just going to be wrong. It usually is, you know. And Tavernier had to go at the start of the season. He's just get him to get this boy. We'd never seen Max Aarons playing unless you'd watched, you know, some championship football where you'd seen the 2 games he played for Bournemouth, or you'd watched him playing 3 games for Valencia or whatever it was. We didn't know anything about Max Aarons, but we just knew he was going to be a better right back than James Tavernier, and he had an absolute nightmare, the young man. And I was so happy for him on Sunday, Max Aarons, and it's like he's thinking to himself, the last time I played for Rangers in Europe, I was coming off the park and precipitated a 6-0 doing for Rangers, and it was a bit more than him. It was It was a bit much more than Max Aarons getting sent off that night and bruised that hammering we took over there. But here he is, he's coming on the part of the night with a chance of mounting a comeback, and he's already started maybe a personal comeback, because he probably thought he'd started a personal comeback for Russell Martin with his winner on Sunday, which was received so strangely by the Rangers support. But he was making a massive difference tonight, because he'd get Tav in behind him for a bit of security. But things change, and things they don't always go the way you want them to. But we changed it tonight at half time. We just throw everything at it, and there was a kind of looseness about it as we started to kind of relax in a way. It's desperation on needs must. But we were just playing so well in the second half. We intercepted them at 58 minutes. We intercepted them in midfield. We cut them out, and Gassam brings it forward, and he gives it to Chermiti in the edge of the box. And the big fella sends again. They defended well. The kind of culture change in that game must have been quite dizzying for Sturm Graz, but they kept their heads just enough. They showed the discipline, but it didn't work when they stayed off. They stood off Gassama in the 49th minute, but he really kind of stood off Big Chermiti, but he took them left, he took them right, and he made the space for himself right down he's just still at the edge of the box, but he had a clear shot on goal, and he just trundles it into the keeper's arms. He's shooting. He does well to get shots in at times where he shouldn't really be getting a shot on goal, but other times he's got a clear shot on goal and he's unable to execute. Just get him a goal, boost his confidence to that. But 59, 60 minutes, they make a substitution, and Derek Cornelius goes down injured. He just needs a bit of attention, and he's fine to go again. But that just offered a little lull, a little respite, let them get their breath back, Sturm Graz, if not a foothold in the game. They plugged up the midfield a bit with the substitution as well, so that took it a bit. Tav, a free kick about the 68th minute from the left. He's deep. He hits it for Raskin. Raskin sends it, the old routine, Tav to Raskin. He sends a header towards the back post, and almost, I don't know what happened to the back post, but again, I don't know if it was Chermiti or Majovski, whoever. We almost scored, but it doesn't happen. Rothwell comes on for Connor Barron on about the 69th minute, and we've gone from zero kind of midfield in the first half of the game, zero midfield presence in the first half, and we're now just dominating the middle of the park, absolutely chewing it up, eating the scenery. 69th minute, Cornelius is overlapping down the left, and he puts a cross in that's bad at first, but then it almost goes into the top corner in the net. And at the 73rd minute, it's Chuamani. He stamps on Chermiti's foot, and you could hear Chermiti like screaming in agony out in the wing, just almost at the exact point where he gave away the really soft free kick that they scored from in the first half. But he's rolling about, but it wasn't a red card. The guy clearly stamping on his foot. Cornelius, a minute later, he gets booked for going in high on Mitchell on the other side of the park. I don't know if it's a revenge tackle for Chukwuani was the fella's name, for what he done to Chermiti. I hope so. A bit of team spirit, that'd be quite good. 76th minute, we lay a kind of mini siege to their goal. This little passage of play, it lasts for about 20 seconds probably. But their keeper is making saves down to his left, down to his right, up to the top corner. It's, Gassama's putting one of the balls to the back post, which again is just too long, but we managed to play it back in. I think Cornelius has a shot on goal. I think John Suter has a shot on goal, but it's a proper siege, and the game's on a knife edge. We're really open at the back, but Jack Butler makes a couple of solid, and then a pretty kind of spectacular point-blank save as well, life-saving stuff for us. But they haven't got that momentum. They're kind of surprised when it's that thing when they get the ball in the second half. They're kind of, we need to do something with this, and we've put them off. Their pace, their momentum they had in the first half is completely gone. 79th minute, Cornelius goes off and Mikey Moore comes on, so Tav goes to left centre half, and I think Aarons is going to right centre back. I don't know, it's Suter's still in the middle anyway. It's wild, but just doing, it's that thing we did at Paisley when we needed to get an equaliser against St Mirren, and to a certain extent what we did on Sunday when we needed to get a winner, we needed to get the lead back against Livingston. It's just everything, the kitchen sink and its auntie and its auntie's dog is getting thrown into our attack, and we look dangerous. We never seem to get caught out at the back in these situations. They never seem to score, and it's kind of like, it proves the point almost of Russell Martin that it's got to be all out attack. Just go for it. We shouldn't need, we won't need to defend if we're all out attacking properly. And when we do have to defend, well, the opposition are so kind of put off by us constantly pounding their goal. They don't know what to do with the ball when they've got it in front of ours. I don't know. I don't know if it's Russell Martin at fault for going to that system, or it's a kind of ultimate proof of his concept, as he would call it. Brilliant point blank save by Jack Butland from Horvat, the fellow that scored the first goal tonight. 80th, that was about 83rd minute, and then they wanted a penalty from Max Aarons. The ball kind of hit his hand as he was falling backwards after making the tackle. He knew nothing about it. Horvat goes off, 84th minute, and his replacement comes on with notes. Or was it a shin pad? I don't know. It was like a jotter of entire notes. So this idea that players can't take on instruction, that's the Austrians just. This guy's brought on a novella for them all to read during the course of the game. Injury time, only a goal up. Danilo comes on for Asgard at the same point. So we've got 3 strikers. We've got Chermiti and Majowski and the lesser spotted Danilo coming on the park as well. We're just throwing everything at it. 85th minute, Gassan wastes a free kick. He should have done more with it. Tav, they're waiting. They've obviously done their homework or they're learning on the job, Sturm Graz, because when Tav gets a free kick outside the box, they're all over Raskin inside the box. They know what's going to happen. They watch Raskin. So Tav takes that chance to vary it, and Gassam's totally unmarked as a result of them all being on Raskin. So he plays the ball to Gassama, who tries to go for a reprise of his earlier goal, but he just completely fluffs his shot. We should actually have played Tav back in down the left-hand side. There's another overlap on. We could get in there a lot better, but we're desperate to get the goal. Point-blank save from Suter on the 89th minute, the last real chance we had. The ball hits the arm of one of their players. Danilo also kind of hits it at the same time, I think, as John Suter's connecting with this ball. But it's not like when Ben Davies kicked Abdallah Sima's boot onto the ball against Betis at Ibrox under Michael Beale. And we won that game 1-0. They kind of get in each other way, maybe snuff out each other's shot. But John Suter still leathers the thing. Basically, it looks like straight at the goalie. He pushes it over the bar. 4 minutes at injury time, and we're dominating them. It's a siege, and Butland comes up to the halfway line to be the kind of not just a sweeper keeper. He's been the 2 centre halves, maybe even the 6. He's getting to be Jack Butland, but they dig in. And they're hanging on, but they dig right in. Sturm Graz. And that's it. Final. It doesn't happen. But we're right up to the end of the game. We're pounding their box, but it's too late. The damage was done in the first half. But by far I don't want to hear about any kind of stat. I don't want to hear any stats after this. I'm gutted at the end of the game. I don't want to hear any stat other than we lost. But I do actually. That's a lie. Last time we lost our first kind of 2 games of the Europa League group stage, we ended up reaching the final, and that's when it was a 4-team group. So there's 36 teams in this group. There's plenty of time to go. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Christ. We've by far the best, maybe the best wins, the best record of any Scottish team in Europe this season. Aberdeen they've not won a game yet. That was their 3rd game. They lost 2, drawn 1. Celtic, they've played 4 games in Europe this season. Over 90 minutes, they've drawn 3 of them and lost 1. Hibs played 6 games in Europe, and they've won 1 of them. They won 1 of them. It was a good win in Belgrade against Partizan, but they're out of Europe. And Dundee United, the only other Scottish team in Europe this season, they've won 2 games. They're the only other team like myself to win 2 games in European competition this season, but that was home and away against a Luxembourg team. I know Progress Niederkorn beat us a few years ago, but we did win the home game as well. But they won 1-0 at home and 1-0 away against a team for Luxembourg. They're actually unbeaten over 90 minutes, Dundee United in Europe this season. And it was Rapid Vienna they played, who are top of the Austrian Bundesliga right now, but they drew home and away with Rapid and went out on penalties. So Rangers won 2 games. We've had the biggest gubbin of any of the Scottish teams in Europe this season, but we won 2 games with a far better standard, beating Panathinaikos and destroying Victoria Pilsen, better standard than Dundee United, man. So we'll get the best. We're not any worse, let's put it this way, we're not doing any worse than anybody else for Scotland in Europe this season. We currently find ourselves 5th bottom of the SPFL Premiership and the 12 club SPFL Premiership and the 36 club Europa League. One more goal tonight, though, and we could have been as high as 26th. We could have been as high as 26th in that Europa League table tonight. We could have been one place above Bologna and another place above another wee team for Glasgow. If it's yet another defeat, as far as you're concerned, that's it. It's just another defeat. Then that's fine. I can't argue with that. It is for me, in that we've now lost 5 straight in Europe. It's horrible. This does feel like the end in so many, but maybe not the end of Russell Martin. It feels like the end of a European fairy tale, as far as I'm concerned. Bruges was perhaps the end of our European glory run of the 21st century, a kind of halcyon days within the new deregulated order of Big 5 leagues dominating and the coefficients. But the question more pertinent, or it's more immediate anyways, is do you slate Russell Martin for yet another defeat, yet another clear backward step on even the manager sacking form of the last 3 seasons? Because we're just guys getting sacked constantly these days at Ibrox. Is it even worse than the form we showed under at any point under Clement, under Beale, under Gio, or do you accept that this is part of the plan tonight? I know I keep saying this, but it's the only defence for Russell Martin, and I feel it's real. I feel it's not a desperate defence. I feel the slow starts in each half of games, and one of the halves in these games that we're playing, is the players taking on a level of instruction which makes it hard to get instinctive and flow and automatisms, as Philip Clement would call them, until kind of we're 4 or 5 months into the season. But the wait will be worth it ultimately. Do you feel that? Do you think it's just, but this is the waiting part? Or do you think he just had to make us instantly better than last season? Was that Russell Martin's job, to come in and just make us instantly better than we were under Philip Clement or Barry Ferguson? If it's the latter, then he has to go. I understand why you think he has to go. And that's the case. He had to go in August. Never mind into October. If it's the former, if you think this is part of the plan, the only question is if he's getting the best out of this team by going against his own philosophy. 2 6s, Raskin's back in the side after their fallout, Tav's very much not being kind of phased out, and he's just get the body Gassama. Tonight it was just get the body Gassama. See the wee fellow on the left hand side, he can beat him. Give him the ball. Is he do we kind of criticise for that, and then he has to be commended for changing his philosophy and ensuring tonight we didn't just take another absolute doing like we got in Bruges? Or is he got to be criticised for having the wrong philosophy to start with, or was this his philosophy all along? Is there nothing that happened tonight that actually went against what Russell Martin preaches? Remember that line he came out with in Paisley after he'd thrown everybody onto the park in the second half? It's not about the tactics, it's about the concept. Was that just bullshit? Was that just him defending himself? I don't know. Is he just a job's worth? We won all the stats tonight in terms of passes completed, shots on target, possession, and even in that first half, it was an end-to-end game. It wasn't as if it was all one-way traffic. This was not Club Bruges and Bruges all over again, but Sturm Graz are nowhere near as good as Club Bruges, and the most important stat is that they scored 2 goals to our 1, 5 straight European defeats. Still haven't won 2 successive games in 2025, 2026. What's most annoying for me, personally, is that there are clear signs of improvement. If you're going to be honest, it's like we're getting beat in a less piss fashion than we did earlier in the season. I might make out that I'm all kind of clinical and super patient, and I know I don't make out I'm in any way clinical. I'm obviously highly emotional with these things, but I have been really backing Russell Martin. Are backing the idea that we really need to give it quite a few months, maybe to Christmas, before we know exactly if this has succeeded or not. Well, I might make that out, and I'm willing to tough out this run of poor form. I am a bit more kind of contextual by instinct. I want Rangers winning always. I just want us to win every game. And this it is torture. Believe me, I am suffering like fucking. It's brutal. We're absolutely awful to watch. We take a 3-0 doing tonight, and he can't get out of our box. It actually makes life simpler because that's like Martin must go. We're not showing any signs of doing anything any better than we had before. Like, to get beat 3-0 tonight off Sturm Graz would be as bad as losing 6-0 in Bruges, because Bruges are twice as good as Sturm Graz. But I don't sing it along with me. Just come on, you know the lyrics. But just join in with this song that comes after the but. If we're supposed to improve to a level where we're winning the league and retaining the title and winning lots of cups, and we were told by all the podcasters, all the podcasters, they all told us, they all warned us, these chatty bods on the pods from Southampton, from Swansea City to MK Dons. They said it wouldn't be pretty. I'm trying to make up a song. I'm freestyling here, folks. I'm freestyling. I'm just trying to make up a song. Or maybe a rap or something, just to make it more, it's a way of saying it differently. The same thing I've been saying all season. We're supposed to get worse before we get better. That's the Russell Martin style. That is the plan. He's been telling us that. I think the directors, the owners have been more or less telling us that, but certainly people whose clubs he has managed before have told us it's awful for 2, 3, 4 months, and then it slowly gets better, and then you achieve what you need to achieve. And but we're no MK Dons wanting to stabilise in League One. We're no Swansea City wanting to get ourselves mid-table in the Championship. We're no Southampton just looking for promotion out the Championship and maybe surviving in the English Premier League. We've got bigger ambitions than that, yeah, but we've also got bigger resources compared to the other clubs around us in a way that Swansea, Southampton and MK Dons didn't. So if he gives us our targets, our basic targets, and we have made our targets basic, we've eschewed European success. Rangers fans have slagged it off, our own amazing achievements in Europe, because they think it's costing us domestically. We want the league, we just want to win the league again. Well, that's a pretty basic target for us, isn't it? So that'd be the same. So he's on course. He's on. I don't know how else to say it to make it more interesting. I can't get away from it. But actually on course just now, because we started off okay. It's a bit dodgy, far from perfect. That's fine. Then it got really, really bad. It's supposed to, and now you can see that we did win at Livingston. We have won a league game eventually. Tonight we did come back in the second half. We did show signs that we know how to dominate a game. We do have the ability to just attack somebody into oblivion. We just need to it's getting closer. I just don't know how else to say it. I'm maybe going to write a musical or something about how it's supposed to go backwards. Even Leeds United fans talking about Parag Marath. They're underwhelming at first. It's underwhelming at first when he took over. Some of his sackings and some of his replacement appointments were strange. Didn't get us very excited, but then he got us to where we needed to go. It works eventually. Everyone's supposed to be slow, and plus the level of change, even if this wasn't the stated plan of Parag Marath, even the stated MO of Russell Martin, it's just the level of change we need for just to be winning the league every season. When another team has been winning the league every season, and it's been happening all over Europe. One team has been dominating other European leagues because of the Champions League monopolising. It's how the football works these days. It takes a tectonic plate shift, and they take time. So it should get worse before it gets better if we want to dig down into the foundations. And I'm sick of the metaphors. I don't know what else to do. I know, like a solo exhibition of dance to try and a different way of saying it. I'm not saying I'm trying to convince you. I'm not saying I'm trying to get this through to you, what's going to make you believe me. You believe me or you don't. It's just me trying to make the same basic point in every single podcast when Rangers have a setback under Russell Martin. Because people are thinking, why don't you want him sacked, Alec? Why can't you see? I do see it. I do see how bad it is. The point is, it might have to be this bad. This is what we're told. This is how Russell Martin works. You go backwards for months, and then suddenly it all comes together. Maybe I could make a different piece of kind of abstract expression art or something like that for every mood, kind of Mark Rothko style. So I've just the red there under the black. That's just that's how I felt. The Bruges game, you get the anger burning at the bottom, and it's the darkness. Just the darkness dominates, but there is a brilliant anger underneath as well. It's just that's the shit. That yellow, is that shame? That is shame. That's a shame. Could put them on, maybe do kind of Jackson Pollock style as well, and just when we start winning again, just kind of go kind of Malevich, suprematist. Is that? Did you say supremacist, Stat-Ick? I didn't say that, but if that's what you want to, and for because we could have an exhibition. We just day one, I just hold my painting up in the pod, and then I'll have the tins ready at the end of every game. I'll just kind of get the kind of covers and that out here, just get the canvas down, and then I'll just come in and I'll film myself painting it, and you can just go, yeah, a bit jazz, a bit of free expression, or a bit of jazz, or whatever, free poetry or something. I don't know. We could have an exhibition at the end of the season. The players could come into it, and usually I'll be there. The whole Stat-Ick family will be at a big warehouse, somewhere down by the Clyde, kind of converted warehouse space, and we'll just red wine. Everybody just red wine, everybody, and then the players will come in because they'll win the treble this year. They'll bring in the Scottish Cup and the League Cup and the league title, league championship trophy. And they'll just place them in amongst the art, and I'll be having a glass of wine with me and Russell Martin standing, and we'll be looking at one, and Russell Martin's going, "Is that a pair of testicles? Do those two things, does that represent testicles?" Yeah. And they've been ripped off, yeah, because you'd rather go through the pain of ripping off, the artist would rather go through the pain of ripping off his own testicles than experiencing the game, just anything to distract them from the pain of the game. Yeah. Was that the 2-1 loss in Pilsen? It is, Russell. Aye, that is what I call that, 2-1 in Pilsen. But it'll be fine because we'll have just be the Malevich, just the white, maybe a big black circle on a white background by the end of the season when we'll just. The marked improvement in this week's defeat makes it less of a defeat than last week. Sturm Graz are they're better than Genk, so are me, mind you. And we were playing them in their own patch. I'm only playing this game at Ibrox. So us kind of, I don't know, losing, but not as badly. In month 3 is, I'm sorry to say, the Russell Martin plan working. He's on course. Yes, we're up against shit Europa League teams. Yes, we're up against a shit Celtic team in the league. Yes, Celtic are 1 point in front of us in the Europa League, but it is all on track, and I'm afraid the only thing which truly bothers me right now is if Russell Martin is overly enthusiastic again. I was worried he was going to be overly enthusiastic about this performance. His concept, I feel, was actually proven tonight. Attack like we should and can, then there's little need for defending, as we're saying. But Jack Butland and Jerry Gasma, maybe our best players tonight. I don't know, but we need to infill everything else. We've got one guy out on the left-hand side who can, pretty much perform. He can make magic happen, and Jack Butland's having the season of his life. He's doing brilliantly, Jack Butland, after me having real problems with him last season. I'm starting to think Yusuf Chermiti scoring a goal, we're just going to turn everything to gold. That'll be it. We're not winning 2 in a row, but we no 2 games in a row, but we have won 2 domestic games in a row versus top flight opposition. On Sunday we could make it 2 league games in a row, and this is we have to really. This is what we have to do. And the only thing I was worried about was if Russell Martin was going to come out tonight and be overly enthusiastic after the game. Yeah, we're great, we're fantastic, we should have had a couple of goals, we've dominated, blah blah blah. But no, he's gone another weird way. He comes out and he's really ratty about his tactics being fine, and his players' mentality was the problem at set pieces. Only his players' mentality at the set pieces, that was the problem. He's gone from kind of overly enthusiastic at the weekend about a narrow win to being overly defensive tonight about a loss. Matt Smith, I thought, was very kind of kind. He was very nice, Matt Smith, interviewing him, compared to the fella who's been doing the post-match interviews for TNT for the last few games with Russell Martin. This is his 5th straight loss in Europe, so he's absolutely vicious. He's not wrong in anything he's asking him, but he keeps at it. He's not hiding from the problems, this interview, and I thought Matt Smith was quite nice, and maybe made a mistake, didn't listen properly to the way Russell Martin was answering him, and that caused Russell Martin to give it, no, you're totally. I said to you that, the only problem was in the open play. Oh, there was no problems in open play. It was only set pieces that the mentality wasn't right. Almost like he doesn't bother with set pieces. He's an open play guru. If we get the overall plan right, his kind of guru type plan. I'm getting a bit cynical at Russell Martin. My faith is starting to waver, but it probably should be. That in itself would be part of the plan. That would play into everything we were told by the Swansea podcast and who was on the Rangers Review in particular during the summer, saying your older fans will hate it. Your older fans will absolutely hate it. I don't know if he's suited to. I've heard so many people who obviously know about Rangers politics and what our crowds are like, just saying, "Use won't waste that. It's not suited to use. It's not suited to use because you have to suffer. You're going to lose so many games, but then it's going to be really pretty after that." I don't know if it's a Rangers thing. That boy in particular, I always remember the Swansea pod going, "Your older fans will really hate it," and so maybe I need to just prove that I'm a Rangers supporter if nothing else, and also that his plan is working. But I thought he was very tame, Matt Smith, interviewing him post-match TNT tonight. Compared to the fellow who'd been interviewing him in the past after the Genk and Bruges defeats in particular, but it was Russell Martin who kind of turned that interview tense, as far as I'm concerned, and he highlighted what looks like kind of vanity, fragility, uncertainty. Oh no, he just seemed, I don't know. I was convincing myself, or hoping that Sunday his over-enthusiasm, that we're brilliant against Hibs and we're great against Livingston. It was our best performances of the season. Two different things that have been our best performances of the season domestically, and them being brilliant. I thought that was, hopefully I can just say that's for his players. He's just trying to make his players feel good. They're going through a difficult time just now. They've got a lot of instruction to take on, a lot of new players. He's trying to kind of bond them by being overcompensatory. And that's worried that it was about himself as well. And tonight, it's like he's been raging at the players for not being able to defend properly. That's what's cost them. Yeah, I don't know. Perhaps Kevin Thelwell's anti-weights in the wings. Perhaps Kavanagh, Stewart and Kevin Thelwell have other plans for Russell Martin, but everything we've been told has come to pass. I'd say it's Christmas before we're due for the real improvement to kind of show itself. And by that time, you get the January transfer windows upon you. So lock up your centre halves. Norwich City. If we play against Falkirk on Sunday, the way we played against Sturm Graz tonight, we'll win like 7-2. Was that game at Ibrox under Walter? Was it the European? We got to the UEFA Cup final. Was it 7-2 or 7-3? That amazing game at Ibrox against Falkirk early doors. It can't have been 7-3, was it? 7-2. It was fantastic. Anyway, so fantastic I can't remember the score. But if we play that way tonight, we would absolutely blow away Falkirk on Sunday. So we should take positives from it. But it seemed like the manager was emphasising the negative, which was, I didn't want him to be too positive, and I got him being too negative. I don't know. But we won't play like that on Sunday. And not just because we're tired after all that effort we had to put in tonight. It's because we're always just one goal short of what's required. Even when we're doing okay, we're not getting hammered, or we're away to Motherwell, we're away to St Mirren, it's just one goal short. At home to Dundee, at home to Celtic, one goal short. Even the Hearts game, you get the Cornelius goal gets allowed. Shankland's goal gets disallowed as he should have been. One goal required. We could destroy Falkirk. But I just don't think it's going to happen. Everybody should just sleep all day Friday, all day Saturday. The players should sleep all day Friday, all day Saturday, and take the feel of the plastic from Livingston, which should still be in their boots, and the feel of total kind of football and control and attacking domination from the second half tonight, and just drop it out in that park at Falkirk on Sunday and leather them, just leather the bairns, but we won't. And what's more, maybe it's already too late. Russell Martin's, I don't know, his manner post-match, more than his team's display, it's given me serious doubts at this particular moment in time. I know, like, why are you only getting serious doubts now? Because I'm saying that's the plan. That's supposed to be the plan, that we're going to be bad for months on end. But he doesn't sound like a man in control of himself, far less the squad. That's a problem. You want to talk about nepotism? You want to talk about quickly again about Kevin Thelwell's son, Robbie, taking over as the head of recruitment. Patrick Wayne, John Wayne's son in The Searchers. He makes a performance, he kind of cameo, he's got 2 or 3 scenes in that. He's got a kind of comedy role. He cannot act. It's clear he can't. There's a lot of guys in the 50s now you think he can't act. They probably looked alright at the time, but he plays a scene in The Searchers with his old man, with John Wayne. It's Patrick Wayne with John Wayne. But they send it up, they do the meta thing. It's self-reflexive. John Wayne is his character Ethan. As Ethan Edwards is slagging this young boy, who in real life is his son, but is it Lieutenant Greenhill or something like that? But it's the Colonel Greenhill or General Greenhill he's reporting on behalf of. And he was, is that your dad? Basically, you got your job because of your dad. Your dad's the top man in the army, and he's slagging him for being a coward and all that, but he's slagging him for nepotism, and it's his son has got a role, and it's John Ford. John Ford was his godfather, was Patrick Wayne's godfather. And I think he was in about 10 John Ford films, either acting or doing stuff, getting me bit parts or doing stuff behind the scenes. I think he's in The Quiet Man as well. But give Patrick Wayne his due. He looks like a movie star. He's a really terrifically good looking guy. Still on the go, apparently, in his 80s. But he played Sinbad. He's a kind of Ray Harryhausen special effects. One of the films that was these kind of Sinbad films. Sinbad in The Eye of the Tiger. And Patrick Stewart plays... Patrick Stewart. I'm obsessed. Patrick Wayne, John Wayne's son, he played Sinbad. 1977. I went to cinema to see that as a kid. I made my dad take me to see that. It was the same year as Star Wars as well. Saw that as well. But the old La Scala, or the Scala, in Saltcoats. Went to see that there. I can remember what one. It wasn't the Regal, it was the Scala. And Patrick Stewart, I didn't realise it was John Wayne's son, not Patrick Stewart. Patrick Wayne, Alec. But so that was a good day. I don't know if they can do the same thing. Ibrox, maybe the presser at Auchenhowie in Friday or post-match at Falkirk and so just take the piss out. Just mention it. We've already talked it up in Graz. With Russell Martin coming out in defence of the nepotism there, getting Robbie, son of Kevin, on board. The family Thelwell dominating at Ibrox now, but whilst continuing to be questioned as long as in terms of consistent success under Russell Martin and the family Thelwell, Rangers remain very, in terms of just winning trophy, in terms of looking the business, in terms of getting to a point where we're not questioning these appointments, we're not questioning everything that's going on behind the scenes. We have a confidence in the new regime until Russell Martin seems to be doing a job. At this point in time, I'm afraid Rangers remain very much the searchers. Thanks, folks. I'll talk to you on Saturday.